We're about to start our program. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on which part of the world you're joining from. We welcome you all to the 6-day short-term training program on blockchain applications sponsored by the All India Council for Technical Education. Without any further delay, let's begin the program with a silent prayer. As you all know, this is an online short-term training program sponsored by AICTE and organized by the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. This is just season 2 of the STTP series with a prime focus on blockchain applications, where we aim to provide a right mix of fundamentals, advanced topics, and technology behind blockchain, and to prepare the participants with a solid foundation from where they can launch their journey in the world of blockchain. Today, we have with us Engineer Punnus George, Executive Chairman of Saintgits Group of Institutions, our chief guest, Professor Rajendra B. Kakde, who is serving as an advisor to the Approvals Bureau of AICTE, Kenal B. Venkat, Director of Faculty Development Cell of AICTE, Julian Gordon, Vice President of Hyperledger Asia Pacific, Dr. Anju Pratap, Head of the Department of Computer Science and Organizing Secretary of this STTP, Dr. Jublente Kirketotam, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Lead Saintgits Blockchain and Coordinator of this STTP. We welcome you all to this meeting. Dr. Anju Pratap, the Head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering and the Organizing Secretary of this STTP, has been on the forefront right from its inception. Under her able and charming leadership, the department is set to achieve greater heights. I welcome Dr. Anju Pratap for the welcome address.
Thank you, Nina. Respected dignitaries, eminent speakers, participants, and partakers of this program, a warm good morning to all. I feel honored and with immense pleasure welcome you to the inauguration ceremony of the Series 2 of AICTE-sponsored STTP on blockchain, specifically on applications of blockchain technology. As introduced, the esteemed personalities and distinguished guest of this program, Engineer Punnus George, Executive Chairman, Saintgits Group of Institutions, Professor Rajendra B. Kakde, Advisor 1, Approval Bureau, AICTE, New Delhi, Colonel B. Venkat, Director, Faculty Development Cell, AICTE, New Delhi, Mr. Julian Gordon, Vice President, Asia Pacific, Hyperledger, Professor Dr. Jublente Kirketotam, Lead Blockchain Club and Coordinator of this STTP, academicians, industrialists, and researchers, once again, a warm welcome to all. Science and technology are very important for the development of every nation. Now, even in the midst of COVID-19 crisis, all nations go hand in hand with science and technology for finding a solution. Technology, which is the application of scientific knowledge, has made our life a lot easier and an essential tool for the rapid development of our society. Saintgits College consistently organizes faculty development programs, workshops, seminars, and webinars in advanced engineering, science, and technology, with the intention of disseminating the right applications of it. This short-term training program, organizing by Department of Computer Science and Engineering, focuses on the applications of blockchain technology, which is one among the thrust areas of computer science, as well as contributing to the industrial revolution, IA 4.0. Blockchain is a distributed, decentralized ledger technology, which is a combination of cryptography, network, and computer programming, has a lot of interdisciplinary applications. This short-term training program is focusing on the applications because the Series 1 of STTP, which is STTP 1, was focusing on the blockchain fundamentals, and we have received a lot of positive feedbacks from the participants. I would like to express my gratitude to AICTE for sponsoring and supporting this program, such that the two series are able to be conducted. Though this Series 2 also Learners can understand and identify the improvements in science and technology, especially in the applications of blockchain technology. I am sure that the sessions will be profitable and will be fruitful for every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anju Pratap. Engineer Punas George, the executive chairman of Saintgits Group of Institutions, had always been a source of inspiration to the Department of Computer Science. The blockchain team of Saintgits had its birth through the futuristic vision and never-ending charisma of Engineer Punas George. Next, I welcome Engineer Punas George for the presidential address.
Sorry, I was not audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Esteemed Chief Guest Advisor to AICTE, our respected guests who are speaking on this workshop, faculty members, as well as delegates who are attending this workshop, and students. Saintgits is fortunate to have hosted this blockchain application workshop, which is the second of the series. As you know, a lot of interest have been generated in the last 4 years for blockchain, as well as artificial intelligence, as well as robotics and cybersecurity. So some of them say that this is the new wave, which has got so many opportunities, so many fundamental changes which will be brought into the social sphere by way of applications. But there are some who say that blockchain is the most important application, which can bring far-reaching changes by going into different levels, because it is disintermediation which is involved here. So we are having a trust mechanism in our society by which we always deal in our transactions. All the transactions, social transactions, as well as financial transactions, are basically on with the basis of mutual trust. And mutual trust is something which is, I dare say that it is not so freely available. You have to get it by an intermediary who certifies that the information which is coming to you is trustworthy. Say, for example, if you buy a property, the property documents have to be vetted by the proper legal people, and which the legal people can have to depend on the registrar's documents or the the village officer's documents and revenue documents like that. But there is a sea change which will be coming if blockchain application is introduced in that area. The Kerala government had tried in the one village near Kasargod this, and it has been a reasonable success as far as I know. There are a lot of other opportunities which will be directly affecting our own daily life. The goods you purchase from the farm to the user, farm gate to the user, blockchain application will give you the exact source of the food which you are purchasing, the fruit, the vegetable. So it will give more value to the person who is producing the organic food, or who takes a lot of trouble to put the right manure, the right ingredients for making his food. Processed food or unprocessed food, application of blockchain will bring about a sea change. There are now in Europe applications which are available, which have already been used in the food chain of supply. Similarly, in the monetary field, actually that is a huge field which even the banks, the central banks are all having doubts also whether to introduce, because the disintermediation will make, some say that the banks and the monetary system, which is already a huge system with managed and unmanaged, based on the Bretton Woods Agreement, which has been the foundation of the global monetary system. Such system can be made into a thing of the past by having a blockchain-oriented, blockchain-based currency system. But there has been so many doubts on the way it has to be managed. Regulation which has to be brought into by the banks, by the country, each and every sovereign country, because you know the monetary transactions form the basis of nation's wealth, and somebody can even cause havoc by using a good manipulation, a good scam. See, if you today's newspaper and today's net carries the news which is bad news on blockchain. Someone in Kerala, someone based in Kerala has been taken under the legal action for bringing and swindling people regarding a lot of money by a sort of a cryptocurrency. So you will be surprised. We all will be surprised. Blockchain and cryptocurrency are coming in our local vernacular newspapers, because now this will become a matter of public scrutiny. In fact, RBI has appointed in 1 year, 2 years before the possibility of introducing blockchain-based transactions. I mean, the facility for the genuine customers to use blockchain in credit cards as well as other instruments. Similarly, another area which blockchain can be applied, our esteemed guests will explain to you more, esteemed speakers will explain to you more, but as far as I know, another area is regarding the certificates, with the education certificates, because any certificate now has to be checked by the employer for its veracity. There are now 1 or 2 startups whom I have even known to our Saintgits group. They have started a venture by which the certification of academic qualifications can be applied through blockchain technology. So similarly, if you say the applications, actually it is countless. So it is very thrilling, and especially for young people in the academia as well as in industry as well as young professionals, this is going to be another gold mine. I mean, another area where a thrilling experience awaits, like the .com boom, which was there in the late 90s. So it has been a proud moment for Saintgits to have initiated such a program. In fact, 4 years before we have started this journey, and our computer science department headed by Dr. Anju Pradap, and also Dr. Jubilant, who is the evangelist among other evangelists in St. Kitts to take this forward. We are collaborating with the Kerala Blockchain Academy, which is a division of the IIIT, which is now the digital university, part of the digital Kerala Digital University, for taking up blockchain initiatives in government as well as in the social sphere. We have conducted a lot of programs for enabling our students, and we intend to pursue this in the academic sphere with whoever is intending to help us mutually collaborate and create a very beneficial environment for the growth of blockchain technology, which is much necessary for the next revolution in information as well as data peddling. So I'm very happy that we have the advisor of AICT for inaugurating this program, and as well as very learned speakers for this program. On behalf of the management, I would like to personally thank them for taking the time for being present in this. And I invite all the delegates for being present here for attending this program. Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. We have with us Professor Rajendra P. Kagde, who is currently serving as an advisor to the Approvals Bureau of AICTE. Prior to this, he was a professor at Department of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Rashtrashan Tukadoji Maharaj, Nagpur University. He has to his credit more than 125 research papers and presentations in national and international research journals and conferences. He has published 2 books, namely Research Methodology and Textbook of Pharmaceutics. He is a reviewer for more than 10 national and international reputed journals. Dr. Kagde completed major research projects from DST, SERB, AICTE, and RUSA. He fetched the research grant for more than 2.5 crore for research and development. He developed RUSA Center for Bioactives and Natural Products and started research facility for the research students at minimum sampling rates. It's my honor and privilege to welcome Professor Rajendra Kagde to address the online gathering.
Thank you very much for a good introduction. And namaskar and good morning to everyone. Good afternoon, good evening to the different parts of the globe. So first of all, my namaskar to everyone. I welcome all the participants of the program sponsored by AICT on blockchain applications, which is the need of today. Honorable Thomas John, Director, SGI, Mr. Punos George, Executive Secretary, who properly describe about these blockchain application. And our speakers will also enlighten on this topic throughout the 6th day. Advisory committee members, Dr. Paul, Dr. Muruganathan, Dr. Santosh, Organizing Secretary, Dr. Anju Pratap, Coordinator, Dr. Jubilant, Co-Coordinator, Dr. Jai Krishna and Mr. Thomas, Technical Coordinator, Mr. Hari. Everyone takes utmost efforts to make the program successful. I first of all congratulate each and everyone for participation as well as organizing this event. I hope this STTP play an important role in understanding the recent trends in blockchain technology. This technology includes computer networks, cryptography, and programming. This technology is now using in healthcare. I know that it is mostly used in healthcare because I'm belonging to healthcare, and these blockchains are very important in the healthcare system. Finance, manufacturing, revenue department, industrial products, energy. So your speakers will deliberate on these topics in a broad way. So I will just take the inaugural speech that AICT very rightly explore these blockchain technology in an emerging area. The use of blockchain for decentralized data management holds potential for application beyond financial services. An article published in the Harvard Business Review highlights several potential applications of blockchain, from the validation of artwork to verification of voting records, including IBM, Microsoft, Accenture, and others, have formed organizations to develop blockchain-based technology that can be adopted by industry partners. Several companies have started to build on this technology for use cases that includes identity verification, rate settlements, and supply chain management. This interest is largely driven by the prediction that the automation offered by blockchain-enabled software could have saved the financial services industry about $15 to $20 billion annually within next 5 years. Blockchain technology having great demands. Anyway, the great speakers for these programs are Julian Gordon, Darshita Gillies, and Anthony, Dr. Robert Ledon, Thomas Cox, Michelle Garcia De, Amey Rajput, Dr. Jubilant, Santosh Thomas, Chintan Oza, Dr. Chirag Modi, Shrikant, Dr. Mukesh, Pawan Adhav, Akiv, Stanley, and Kristen. So these are the big names in the field of our blockchain technology. This will deliberate in a full and in details. This is the feast for the participants. They really get benefited through this program. I hope they have great time. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to act as a chief guest for this 6-day STTP program. My colleague, Dr. Venkat, will elaborate more on the schemes of the AICT and the programs. Before ending my speech, I say my quote for the Vivekanand says, everything is easy when you are busy, but nothing is easy when you are lazy. So enjoy the program. Once again, I wish all the best for the grand success of this program. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, Professor Rajendra Khatde. Colonel B. Venkat, Director of Faculty Development Cell, has expressed his consent to attend this STTP, but unfortunately, he has not joined yet. So now we'll be moving on to our inauguration of this STTP. Colonel Venkat, are you here in this meeting? No. So now we'll be moving on to the inauguration. We are honored to have Julian Gordon, who is the Vice President of Hyperledger Asia Pacific. He has spent the past 20+ years in Asia Pacific business development and leadership roles within leading technology companies like HP, Sun Microsystems, Juniper Networks, and Cisco. He is a strong advocate for open source and the transformational potential of blockchain. He is a community builder for Linux Foundation to bring people in, and we are really privileged to welcome the head of Asia Pacific for Linux Foundation, Julian Gordon, for inaugurating this STTP and delivering the inaugural address.
Hello.
Hi,
Can you
Julian.
see me?
Yes, you are.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for Anina, for that introduction, and it's a great honor to be amongst this esteemed group of presenters and to virtually meet all those in attendance. All right, what today I'm going to do is I'm going to go through about I think I've got about 20-30 minutes. I'm going to go through a little bit about who Hyperledger is, what we are doing in this space, and really about how to get involved in open source and blockchain. So I'm going to share my screen first, I think, so I can share some slides. Just give me a second. There you are. Can you see me and the slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes.
Can you see me?
Yeah, yeah.
You see this? Do you see guys?
Yes, sir. We can see both
Huh? You can see
slide
both.
and you can see you also, sir.
Okay. I really just want to say that because I have this band on me, right? I can't see me actually. This band on me, and just to make sure everyone understands, I'm in quarantine today. I just came back from Hong Kong, where back to the UK. I'm based here in Hong Kong actually, and I just come back. I've tested negative, but I'm just so anyone thinks I'm in hospital. I'm actually here. This is part of the system here to make sure that people are in quarantine. So I'm keeping COVID safe here. So, which is actually just it's an amazing time we're living in, right? And I'm very, very happy to present this from my quarantine here. So I'm Julian Gordon. I'm the Vice President of Asia Pacific of Hyperledger, which is the open source blockchain technology initiative hosted at the Linux Foundation. I'm going to speak to you about how Hyperledger and blockchain technology are transforming how business works, how Hyperledger blockchain technologies are impacting businesses and governments here in India, virtually, I'm here in India today, and how it's streamlining business processes, improving efficiency, cutting costs, building trust, preventing error and fraud. And I'm going to share today why, a little bit of why that's important, why governments, why businesses see this as important. I think some of the previous speakers touched on that. And also how is it possible that from within 5 years of business blockchain, which people say we've gone from hype to reality in 5 years. How's that been possible? Why are we at this position that we all can be trained up in this technology and why we have this all implemented? And I'll give you a hint, open source. So I'm going to talk a little bit about open source technology as well this morning. So let me see if my slides work. There you are. So firstly, for some of those who may not know, and I think a lot of you who may know what Hyperledger is, but I think it's always good to restate it because there are many different kinds of views about what Hyperledger is. So, who are we? What is our technology? And how are we deployed in the real world today? So Hyperledger is an open source technology, and key is the fact that we're open source. It was founded 4 years ago to bring together technologies initiatives from across industry, across countries, across the world. We have lots of different sectors. The previous speaker talked about pharmaceuticals, I think, industry, supply chain, healthcare, government. The list goes on and on. Any kind of a sector where trust and mitigating a trust would provide a benefit or fixes an issue or creates a new opportunity. So if you think about that in your daily life as somebody in society, how that helps government, or in business, there are endless different ways that blockchain can help. So we're hosted by the Linux Foundation, and actually that's quite key. And I'm going to talk a little bit about who the Linux Foundation are and what we do. And we have a history of hosting such initiatives. So what you have to do is, if you think about us, we're kind of like, and I'm staff, by the way, at Hyperledger. Even though Hyperledger has this enormous impact and thousands and thousands of people are involved in it, there's only about 15 of our staff who help manage. We're kind of like the air traffic controllers managing this great open source community and ecosystem. We have, so we're all part of the Linux Foundation, or Linux Foundation APAC in my case, and we're all connected to that organization. So the Linux Foundation. I don't know if you've seen that. It says I have to show anyway, so I'm going to continue to do this right. So Linux Foundation, which we're part of, is all based on really, it was an organization that was created 18 to 20 years ago. Actually, I think it is up to 20 years ago to help manage Linux. I think we all know what Linux is. Linux is it's probably the most successful ever software project in the world. It's by far computes the majority of the world's compute today. It's in your car. If you have an Android phone, it runs that. If you're running any kind of telco infrastructure, it's running that. It's everywhere, right? It's in your Wi-Fi router. It's everywhere. It's pervasive to such the point most people don't know it's there. It started in 1991 with Linus, who then put that out there in the world. It grew and grew and grew to the point that big companies took it on. Actually, I worked for Sun and I worked for HP. We had our own Unix system, which we thought was the thing. But this open source movement just grew and grew and grew. And it was developed by a community, not, it's kind of like the proof that all of us are better than any one of us. It was a strong community build amongst many different companies. And Linux Foundation stepped in about 20 years ago with Linus, and we created a non-profit organization to help manage that ecosystem, to create a safe place for people to develop the technology and for to develop that ecosystem, the people who write it, the people who then use that system integrations, the ISVs, the educators who need to educate people in it, to the end users, bringing that complex, and that really is the secret sauce of Linux Foundation, is able to bring that together and create this vibrant community where everyone is welcome. About 5-6 years ago, the Linux Foundation said, we're not just going to do one Linux. Let's see if we can use this this magic that we have in terms of creating open source projects, and let's look at other areas. And we have nearly everywhere. If you look at the plumbing of the world, right, or the technical world, we have cloud infrastructure, network infrastructure. Some of the key infrastructures are Linux Foundation projects like CNCF with Kubernetes. We've got OPAC, we've got JS Foundation, we've got Cloud Foundry, LF Networking. I can give you a long and growing list. So out of this, about 4 or 5 years ago, actually it started December 2015, a number of different of our members, including likes of JP Morgan, IBM, Intel, plus some new digital assets, some new kind of fintech startups, came together and said what we want to do, because we saw Bitcoin, we're seeing we're seeing Ethereum, we're seeing these which are great technologies, but there are some challenges with them. We want something that is really enterprise focused, that is predominantly permissioned, and out of that, a conversation was born at Hyperledger. And Hyperledger is, and I'm going to go a little bit more at Hyperledger, we are the blockchain project of the Linux Foundation. And the key thing for us, and I really want to re-emphasize this, is what has made us successful. And I think the broader, for all of you, open source technology, especially for the core components, the core infrastructure, for allowing digitization of the planet, for the internet, for all these components, for the pipes, is pretty well now open source. It's trillions of dollars of source code. Any new product today is majority generally produced in open rather than proprietary software. And the key to that is having a technical open community. We are a completely technically open community. Anyone who is involved in the technology is open to come. There is no gotcha. There's no extra cost to use this. This is absolutely open to everybody. We do have members and others that do contribute financially in other ways, but this is open to anyone. You can be a student from anywhere. You can be a professor from anywhere. You can be in any company globally, and you can download and use the software. It is all open. So, and how is that? How is and then there's hundreds of different companies involved in that, and thousands of individuals involved in that. And also another key thing is diversity. So not diversity in companies, diversity in countries. This has always been a global project. We've had people right from the beginning contributing from India, from China, from the part of the world that I live in. I was born in Asia. I'm from Hong Kong, so this part of the world has very much been involved as in the Americas and Europe and Africa, right? We are completely vendor neutral. Anyone is involved to come along, and we have this thing called a do-ocracy. So it's not democracy, it's the take of the word democracy, is that anyone who gets involved has some other people that influence it. We have this technical steering committee that is made up of the contributors and maintainers of our projects, and they elect our technical steering committee and elect into those projects. So it's all about the developers. It's all about the code. So this is a very inclusive thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. I've got to keep an eye on the time as well. Okay, so Hyperledger, since those 4 years ago, 2015, it started, Feb 2016, first code. Actually, Brian Bellendorf joined just after that, and I joined in September. So I've been there 4 years as well. So it's been launched for 4 years. We now have, and I'm going to talk a little bit about all the different technologies that we have. And then, so we have, I think, 16 now. It's just like 15, but I think we're growing so fast that the PowerPoint can't keep up with the code. And then we have 4 production releases, and actually, in fact, we have Fabric in production release 2. We have members, over 200 members from all around the world. We have, in India, people like Wipro, Tech Mahindra, we have Mindtree, and many other organizations from India, also Maharashtra government and other associate members as well. We have lots of active community meetups and groups. We have just grown, and it has been amazing. As somebody said the other day, we've moved from hype to reality in 5 years. And wow, what a reality it is. So who's using the technology? So, it's all right to talk about the code. So there are, you can read in the press, you can read all around the world on what's happening. It's not so much IDC kind of reports, but I think a great one is the Forbes magazine. Every year they call this the Forbes Blockchain 50. They're companies that, large companies that have over $1 billion of revenue, and they then have a case study of what these companies are doing in blockchain technology. And here's just the example of them. Over half of them are using Hyperledger Fabric. Hyperledger is the dominant one, and in this case, I'm talking about permission blockchain, and not the crypto side. This is very much enterprise blockchain. I could pick some out here. Walmart is, I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. A lot of that actually is developed here in Bangalore. We have people like Cargill, I know, China Construction Bank, I'm going to talk a little bit about. They are second largest bank in the world. They have a chain that does $50 billion worth of extended letters of credit. Honeywell have a automotive part. HSBC have many different case studies. Tencent, I can go on and on. All of these are using them for tracking, for creating greater efficiency, for adding new customer value, all kinds of different use cases. And I would say people are now not saying about, how does blockchain work, and they're just saying, I need it. Executives are now saying, yeah, I understand the blockchain. I'd like to know how I can use that more and more and to help the efficiency and help accelerate digitization of all kinds of processes and transactions in the world. So these are the projects. So this is ultimately what Hyperledger is about. And ultimately, as we all know, we need the code. And these are our projects, right? Think of these as kind of like blocks of literally frameworks of lots of different technology code that can then be used by companies or other organizations to put together their blockchain networks and put together their businesses. It's only part, obviously, within, I think there's this great thing, they call it BOLT. So that's business, operations, legal, and technical. Those are the four kind of areas that you need to think about when you're building a blockchain network. This is the technical part, and also it helps with the operational side. So I think that the one that most people would be familiar with would be Fabric. So Fabric was contributed originally by IBM and also by Digital Assets. And came out, as I said, in that first drop of code back in 2016 at 0.5 and 0.6. It's now at version 2, and it's grown from this, let's try it out, and actually there's a real big rethink between 0.6 and 1 about how the architecture to work, and now it's a de facto standard in many parts of the world, Fabric, in the enterprise space. We also have Sawtooth, another, and I think both these projects are going to be covered on this course. So I think it's just very good to understand the context. Sawtooth came from Intel. Generally, I'll use a lot in supply chain, and that has some very interesting, also some very interesting consensus mechanisms. So Sawtooth is another popular one. Aroa is actually got a very interesting use case with the Bank of Cambodia, who's created like not quite a CBDC, but very close to a central bank of digital currency that's live today, using that technology. Indy is a completely different area called decentralized identity. So this is the ability to use using a blockchain to, rather than having your identity at multiple different places, like the bank or like at your healthcare provider, this provides proofs, identity proofs, and using zero proofing, and this is it's called self-sovereign identity. It's being used by governments as well, and others. So this is a very hot subject all around decentralized identity. And now the other area, so this is Fabric, Sawtooth, very much in the permissioned world. This is Ethereum. As many of you know, in blockchain, we kind of, you think at 3 phases. We had Bitcoin, and you know, the amazing stuff that was done by Satoshi, whether she or he or they are, right? And then we had the great stuff of the one world computer, and you know, the thing that really came out of Vitalik, I think, was smart contracts, and that ability to put logical code into a blockchain. So, and then, you know, they came, from that, we came enterprises, what we are, which does not have anonymous players, and everyone's known. And in many worlds that works, because especially in commercial world, you know, you have KYC, you have different regulations, and you generally like to know, if you're a car manufacturer, who's in your supply chain. So for different purposes. But I've always been interested, and there's always been interest, you know, between the two. I always say, in the early days, I used to present at conferences with Vitalik. I was the Hyperledger person. He was the Ethereum. Obviously, he was, you know, that great person at that time. And the press always wanted to split us apart. You know. But reality, we're all in the same blockchain family. We're all very interested in technology. And Burrow was the first Ethereum project that came into Hyperledger. And we're this anonymous, we're not anonymous, we're this neutral place. And Burrow was the first Ethereum of enterprise DLT that came in, and that was Burrow. And actually that is an EVM, so you can use Solidity contracts. I think you'll be learning something about that as well in this course. So Burrow actually interestingly sits on top of Fabric and Sawtooth. All these projects use the same governance framework, all the same kind of technology. So very interesting. And then last year, I think this was a real, a real exciting step in the history of blockchain, was when Besu Consensus, who had a project Pegasus, which has a Java-based Ethereum client, they took that and contributed it to Hyperledger. So that means that we now have, and that means that we have, I'm not going to go to EEA, but there's a whole standard around enterprise Ethereum, and they define the standards, and actually they find standards for other things. They're not just for Ethereum. So that became part. And then now we have the whole spectrum from permissioned to permissionless. I'm not going to go into all these libraries and tools, but we have some very interesting stuff. This is open, anybody can see it. If I was to pick out one, maybe Cactus interoperability, and we talk about, I talk about all these projects. You have a supply chain project here, you have a banking project here, multiple different projects. How are they going to communicate with each other in a seamless way that we know that you can trust data from one to the other? Another project is kind of off-chain. This came out of another standard by EEA around trust computing and how you can place data. This is also to speed up the chains, but you can put that into maybe an enclave of a chip, or using other methodologies. So we have lots and lots and lots of interesting stuff there. And also we have a labs. So if you want to go and look at some interesting stuff, the labs is somewhere where you can come and contribute something, and where a lot of the projects do start. So how do you get involved? How you can use technology? Well, as with any technology, it's quite difficult at the beginning unless you know exactly where you are, right? But we have created the world out there, the cloud providers, and a lot of blockchain is on cloud just by the it is a decentralized technology, right? So you have many parties involved, so the cloud is just a natural place for that to happen. And Fabric is pretty well. If you look at all the cloud, it's pretty well. Hyperledger Fabric is their major distributed DLT, and from even in China, right? Things like their blockchain network and JD, but also the big companies like AWS, Google, all of them. They're making it easier and easier for you to use this technology. So a great place to actually, but you can also just download it and put it on your own machine. You don't have to use the cloud providers. But also this is just an amazing amount of ways that you can now use Fabric. Just from the last 3-4 years, it is everywhere. We've also worked with the organizations to talk about how we can make, because the one thing about technology is that we want it to be at a certain grade. We want, as an organization, especially in business, and this predominantly was developed for business and governments, they want it at enterprise grade level software. So we have now certifying service providers. We now have up to 20. I think from the last announcement, we have Tech Mahindra, we have Mindtree, and we have a few others from India, and they're going to see a lot more. Some of the global players like IBM, SAP, Accenture, they're all becoming certified service providers. And what that means is that we believe they have the level of support staff. And we first looked at administrators, and we have an administrator exam. And it means that these companies have a certain number of people that have those administration exams. It's one of the key things, because it is a complex technology, right? And it's not just the technology, but the operation of that. And that's why we've created this ecosystem. And this is just growing. I think we now 6 or 7. I think this, I'm getting a new one of these a week. So we're seeing this go of certified providers. So I welcome you to look out for those, or become one. Or go and work for one, or create your startup using one of them. A lot of support out there now for people using this technology. This is part of the training. The slide's not showing properly. Is it showing properly on yours or not? Okay, so we have training. We have lots of technical courses. You can see that here. You can see all the different courses. You're on a course today, but we do have lots and lots and lots of free courses that you can take part in. And I'm going to make sure. I think I'm having problems here with my machine. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir.
You can. Thank you. Sorry. I'm having a little technical problem. My quarantine place hasn't got such good Wi-Fi as my normal place. All right, so we have lots of training. Please get involved. We have a lot of free training. We have a lot of mass online training. The great thing like this, what happening today with Saintgits and involving us, this is just great, fantastic. We like to have more and more free training, more, obviously paid training as well out there for some of the administrators' exams. But please do get trained. This is core to any technology. Academia is the foundation of this, and this is the foundation for digitization, a foundation for lots of our future jobs and the development of our society. So training is very key, and we take a lot of interest in that. And we're assigned. We have a lot of the top universities we work with, from the Harvards to the Harvards to the MITs to the Cambridges, all these different organizations we work with as well. There's many ways to get involved. I'm having difficulty, sorry, I'm having some things here. I'm going to have to work on this slide here. I'm going to have to show you everything because it's not working. Okay, so I wanted to show you here, and let's see if we can show this slide, right? ways that you can contribute back. So I talked about the fact that we are an open source organization, right? We need people to contribute. So generally we say people should learn, they should then use it and then contribute back. So how can you contribute to us, non-profit, global organization, at the Linux Foundation, specifically with Hyperledger? So firstly, if you're a coder, go and find a contributor guide, find a bug, or if you find a bug, help fix it. If you want to write or translate, that's your skill, help with documentation or translation. And actually STTP is one of the leaders in this part of the world and leads a lot of the translation efforts. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I'm always very honored and amazed by what STTP has been able to do. Or you can write a blog post, or you can participate in meetings. We have all kinds of meetings that you can join, and that's what I was going to quickly show you here. We have a bunch of working groups. Get involved. You want to learn more about blockchain, you can learn it on the course, but also get involved. You can listen to our technical steering committee, which is some of the people have been elected by our community. This is a duocracy, as I talked about. These people in this technical steering have been elected by the contributors. You can go and listen to them. You can go and see their notes, all the decisions that are made in the development. We have architecture working groups, identity working groups, performance, smart contracts. We have diversity is also very important to us. Diversity in gender, race, LGBTQ, it's all important to us. So we have a lot of work around that to increase the diversity within our community. So that's also important to us. We also work around, please to get involved in our interest groups. And these are more around industry. We have around supply chain. We have all the different industries. That's not showing, is it? I don't think it is showing, right? So I'll continue. We have, so yeah, please. And actually one of the ones that we're very interested would be the trade finance interest group, right? Which is actually trade finance is a very hot subject, but I made that in a very Asia Pacific friendly time. Every Tuesday, 5 p.m. You can just turn up to the meeting. We also bringing to more people, as I said, translation is important. This is a shared technology for all of us to help bring us all forward, right? And language is a barrier. Actually, time zones are a barrier, so we try and do lots of stuff around the different time zones. But we do have a Fabric documentation working group. We have obviously, not obviously, but the main core code, not actually all of them, but some of them are in other language to start with, but are in English. We have them in Chinese, and we have them in Malayalam, which was done by the STTP team. And thank you very much for that. I know that we're doing it into Tamil and Hindi and other languages. So this is a way that you can contribute. So we have, and obviously Spanish and many, many different Italian, we're looking at all these different languages to help people, because documentation is key. And you can get to all that documentation. It's all available on the internet. And I would say that, these are some tips, because some people are a little bit apprehensive, this large organization. Some people, depends on your personality, you have no problem just charging in. But if you want to, you can look at it. We have these open areas. Feel free to learn, see what other people are doing. But you don't have to wait for invitation, right? Just jump in, get involved. The people at STTP know how to do this as well, right? Connect with me or anybody. We're all very high. But obviously, read the code of conduct. We do have conduct. You have to treat people with respect, and we do have high standards of etiquette in terms of how people and how we work with people. So please just get involved in that as part of your learning experience, right? So learn plus also get involved in this, right? You can go to our wiki which is the #1 place. If you write anything down, wiki.hyperledger.org, and that is the starting point of everything. Very much so. But India, as you are predominantly based in India, we do have an India chapter, and this was started by Anmol Kalkani. We started this because we have about 12 meetups, major cities. You still have meetups in many major cities in India. And they said, we want to do this across India. We want to share and collaborate across India. So we set up an India chapter. At the moment, it's co-led by 2 people, Arun, who's from Walmart, and Kamlesh, who is from Snafa Future Tech. They have ongoing events. We've had these hackathons. We've had Kamlesh is running a 4 series about use cases and about how you take use cases from nurturing and from how they've gone to production. He's had some global people. There's still another one this Friday. So just go to the wiki, go and have a look. You've got all the links here, right? They help promote the projects globally, and they have a call every Monday at 3:30 IST. It's around technology. Anybody can join, and you can split off and do your own group if you want to do stuff. So I very much, and I thank Arun and Kamlesh and everyone, all the volunteers in India who are doing some great work. All right. So now I've talked about who Hyperledger is, what we are. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the select use cases. I think I'm still within my time, just about, right? So I'm going to go through this very, very, very quickly, right? So we have hundreds of use cases globally, right? And as I said before, this technology is not about a future. There's still a lot of future in it, but there's a lot of stuff that's actually in production today. I always take things like the China Construction Bank. I think that's been in for 2 years now. There have been other networks, and they have done billions of dollars of letters of credit. Basically, before the banks used to work with intermediaries, like in that case, it was a domestic SWIFT. They used to have all kinds of different interfaces between the banks to try and communicate around trade finance. They then created up a chain. They standardized that, and all the information could be instantly trusted across all the different banks, and that just sped up the process. And this is really for extended letters of credit. China Banking Association is doing that also, and doing that for many, many other areas. Tech Mahindra have been working with TRIA, which is a regulator in India, which I think is a famous use case. You probably all know it. Spamming is a problem in India, like everywhere. And the Indian government and the Indian regulator there suggested using DLT, and now they have set up very large DLT networks which can track, which can share between the telcos the tracking of spam calls, which reduces the number of spam. I think it's some billions of spams every continuously are experienced by people in India, right? SMSs. So how do you stop that? How does it go back to the user? And there's all kinds of applications I believe you can use now to stop spamming. And that's done by DLT. The DLT makes it possible for those numbers and everything to be shared in a trusted way between people who, different telcos who maybe not trust to share that information before. British Columbia, they've created this indie project I talked about. Governments have basically given these to governments, to small, medium industries. And this is a means by which they can collect all their registrations, their building recs, all their different codes, and they can collect that on their DLT, so then they can show those to others. So they don't continually have to go back to each government office with all these different papers. They have one central place. I don't know, how much more time have I got left? I think I'm close to the end there now, right? I can go through a few use cases in more detail. Walmart, I think, is probably one of the most famous, and now that has merged into something called Food Trust. But the most famous case, there was two, which I always have fond memories. One was the one in China, where they traced pork. That was Tsinghua University at that time, and IBM, where they tracked food. And the other one was one they did in the US, tracking a mango. So the concept was really, tracking. You wanted to be in a supermarket, and you picked up a mango, and you said, and the store supervisor could say to the manager, where did that come from? It took them, for that mango, 7 days, ringing up suppliers, finding out where this came from, it took time, right? And now tracking that and putting that onto a supply chain at 2.2 seconds, which is amazing, right? But of course, that's an expense and infrastructure for that. But what that's enabled them to do now, when they have a challenge, particularly in green vegetables, where you have an issue, let's say there is salmonella or some kind of disease, they now know they don't have to remove all the green vegetables. They only can take those certain green vegetables, and they can track them back rapidly to find where the source of the problem is. In other places, it's all about provenance. How do I know this Gucci bag is a Gucci bag? How do I know that this Fuji apple is a Fuji apple? So there's lots and lots. I think one of the previous speakers talked about this. Provenance is very, very important. That can also be in the case. This is a supplier. Trust your supplier. This is all about managing your suppliers. This has been, very key in COVID. We want to get a new supplier. How quickly could you do that? So this is trust your supplier. I think I'm nearly run out of time, right? So I'm just going to mention one more here. This one is, and I think my slides for some reason aren't showing properly. And here is a one I've always thought was a very interesting use case. This is in China. In China, you have internet, and I'm going to see if I can present this in full mode, see if it works now. There you are. So in China, you have an internet court. So it's kind of strange. I don't think many parts of the world have an internet court. So what you do is, where you want to have a case, it makes it a lot cheaper. You take all your legal documents, you put them on your computer, and you upload those to the court. And then they go through the process. The plaintiff and the defendants, they would look at those. The different legal people would look at that. They'll go through all kinds of processes, and then your case would be considered. What they did is they said, in order to help everyone in that process, when you upload the documents, they take a hash of those documents and they put those on a chain. It's a permission chain, but it's also public, so you can see the hash codes. And this means that when the court actually judges your case, they are using the original documents that you put up. So this creates a very simple way of creating trust. Another supply chain. This is a very complex supply chain, but something also that's very key. This is around a product called tantalum. If you have a mobile phone, you will have tantalum in the battery. The problem with tantalum is that it comes from, it's also mined in places where it shouldn't be mined, such as in Rwanda, where it's not, Rwanda is a good place, but in the Congo, where it's done under under slave labor, child labor, all these kinds of things. So we want to make sure that when we buy a phone, it's not sitting on the top of the labor of children and labor, and that's part of the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. So now many manufacturers have to prove that their phone, the material in your phone, the battery in your phone, the battery in your smart car, right, comes from a place that is trusted and was based on the labor of people that weren't abused or used, right? So they track, and this supply chain is notoriously challenging to track. So what they do is they track from the source through, and you can see here, it says it mined in Rwanda, where it's then refined in Macedonia, manufactured in the US, shipped from the US, finally assembly in China, and then distributed to consumers around the world. At each of those spots, they use IoT devices, with photographs and other things, and they track, so you can understand the provenance and reduce the ability for people to slip in, cheaper but tantalum that's come from other places. And we have this with diamonds. There's the Everledger case, I think that must be going for nearly over 3.5 years. That's literally from maybe even 4 years, right? It's one of the first ever cases that was based on a treaty that used to exist about, it's the Kimberley process, which was a process that came out of the UN to track diamonds. It was a centralized database, which I think was held in Belgium, and it made sure that blood diamonds, which are similar diamonds that come from areas that they shouldn't come from, and mined in ways that are unethical. And so they provided, there was a centralized database that managed it, but actually it got hacked. So it had problems. So they decided to put that on a blockchain company called Everledger, and now they track over, I think they tracked over 2 million diamonds are tracked, all the way from the mine to that retailer. And now that diamond that you're buying for that purpose comes from a true place, and it's not based on any unethical behavior. And I'm going to go through this. Actually, I'm going to now probably come to the end, I wanted to share with you just one more slide. This one here, right? So this is from a survey. We see there's lots of surveys. This is from Deloitte, right? And I like this because, and there's actually the World Economic Forum's done a great survey as well. So blockchain is integral to organizational innovation. So leaders no longer consider technology groundbreaking and merely promising. They now see it as integral to organizational innovation. I'm seeing this more and more. So the C-suite, the customers of our members, such as the large IBMs, Accentures, it's no longer, I want to know how a consensus mechanism works, which of course some people like. Technologists will have to know that, but they really know about how can we use this to create greater innovation. How do we make sure that we can digitize things? How can we make sure that we don't, like when we're import-export equipment, that we don't have to do lots of paperwork? How can we speed up the global supply chain? How can we create financing, supply chain finance, so a small SME now have access because he can prove that his account receivable is a real account receivable and he can get a better rate from his bank. People are asking more and more to get this done. Yeah. And yeah, and that's it. Thank you. So if you want more information from us, here is, this is a little bit of information if you want to contact me or Dorothy or who's our marketing and PR manager. But we're just part of this organization. This is a large global community. So please do get in touch. And any questions, please.
Thank you so much, Julian.
Yeah.
Next, if the participants are having any doubts regarding how to contribute to Hyperledger or how to contribute to open source or how Linux Foundation supports young people, now we are having an open session, question answer session with Julian, open to participants.
Hey Julian, this is Strange from Mumbai.
Hi.
Clear?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. I would like to know your thoughts about private players holding a big part in public blockchain system, and how would you see blockchain as a technology in coming years? Like we see lots of interest of private players like banks, governments to make it in a private manner. So private mission blockchain, and I would like to know your thoughts that in coming 10 to 15 years, is it going to be only a limited player game, or it would be other way around? Sorry if I'm not that much brief or clear.
No,
question.
I think I know what you're asking, right? So you're saying in this world today, we have public blockchain, right? We have permission blockchain, we have interest from all kinds of people, right? And we have lots of different types of technology. Right. Of course, we've gone from the Bitcoin, which is still there, right? We have, we had the ICO craze with public, and then we've had this private blockchain. So what does that all mean going forward, right? I always think there's going to be a, I hate kind of predicting the future. There's many people, I think it was some from IBM said it'll only ever be six mainframes needed in the world, right? And I think somebody said, why would we need more than 300 RAM, right? So, the world is continually changing, and it's very, we can predict the future, but we really don't know the future. But I think there's going to be an era. So blockchain itself, the blockchain that I'm more interested in was the permission blockchain, and of course we have that enterprise Ethereum. Also has that, which connects with the public blockchain, is going to grow and grow and grow, and a lot of it's going to be down in the infrastructure. There's always this joke, you know your time, the technology's made it when no one really talks about it anymore, right? So the internet is there, right? People don't talk about the internet, but we rely on it every single day. But people don't start internet businesses; they start e-commerce businesses or maybe blockchain businesses, which pretty well run on the internet, right? So I think it's going to grow and grow. For that trusted area, banks and other organizations are going to take it. It's going to grow and grow and grow and become more pervasive. It'll become easier to use, and it may sink into the infrastructure and be less obvious as people put offerings around it. Whether it's public or private, I think there will be a space for public. I think the private, when you say private, you really mean permission and permissionless, right? When you mean permission blockchain, I think that is going to be, that's there, it's trusted, it's understood. And a lot of the case studies don't actually need anonymous players, but there will be places that technology, and I'm very interested to see how Ethereum evolves and other technologies. So the mainnet, how that evolves, but and maybe that creates whole new kind of ecosystems. I think it already, things like DeFi and other things. So I think, to put it short, I really don't. I can give you a prediction, but we don't know, right? There are so many interesting possibilities. But the one thing, the area that I'm more expertise is in the enterprise space and permission blockchain. That is definitely going to grow, and it's going to grow not just for banks, for organizations and governments. Did that help?
Thanks.
Any other questions?
May I ask, ma'am?
Yeah, sure.
So myself Sheetal, I'm from Pune, Maharashtra.
Hi.
So good morning, sir. I just wanted to ask a question, can we have anything called permissioned and permissionless type of blockchains in private blockchain?
So yes, so so when you mean private and public, I think private and public can sometimes be confusing, right?
Yes.
So really should look at the world in two things: in permissioned. So permission network, everyone is known, right? They've gone through some authority. They've gone through
That's
some
open.
KYC.
Correct.
But that's permission, right? Permissionless means that anyone can join. So anybody can do mining or whatever and join, right? So you can have potentially bad actors, right? Now, public and private is a different thing, right? So you could have a public system, like I talked about the court system, right? Where you put information up, it is permissioned. So the people that manage the data is permissioned, but the public can see the information, right? You could do that maybe for a lottery. So you can, everyone can see the lottery number, but no one manages the lottery number, right? So that can be permission. There's no non-known player that can change the lottery number. It's all known. So you can have public and private in permissioned, and generally in that permissionless, you don't have that. But we are working on. There's lots of technologies that work on how you can get privacy off-chain, maybe even. So that's what the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, and that's what we're looking at. Things like Bezu, and then that project Avalon. We're looking at how you can maybe have more privacy, because one of the things, like in a permission blockchain, the key things also, organizations they may want to share where a transaction is in the supply chain, but they wouldn't necessarily want to share what price they paid for it, right? So we have things like channels, and then there's other ways that you keep certain information you want to keep secret, because that's not needed to prove that the transaction happened, right? But you want you still want to have a blockchain to show that it's immutable and that the event did happen and can't be denied.
Yeah, but I think whenever you design the sort of private type of blockchain, there are the problems like they may get manipulated, or like I mean closed one. When you put it like private type of blockchain, are there any like the problems or issues which may arise in case of the private type of blockchain as compared to permissionless?
Well, permissionless can also be manipulated by people, right?
But that's quite difficult, sir. That's quite difficult.
Be manipulated, but in the end, it should be amongst trusted parties. So in the end, it's banks working with, so like a supply chain, all the people from Walmart, everyone down that line. Everything they do is seen by everyone else. That's the whole point. It cannot be manipulated, right? That's the very essence of it. Of course, never say never. But it's the same in both. In fact, in permissioned, all the different parties. So, you got it right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That answered my question. Thank you, sir.
Julian, we have one more question.
Okay.
Can we use Hyperledger in DeFi?
All right. So just to be honest, I'm not an expert in DeFi. It's predominantly in the Ethereum world, I believe. You can use, I can tell you what you can use. You can use Hyperledger, yes. That's a good, I think Bezier. I think you could use Bezier. Yes, so Hyperledger Bezier can be used in DeFi, I'm pretty sure, which is our Ethereum offering.
Yeah, thank you. We have one more question. What skills are needed to be an expert in blockchain? What are the research areas in blockchain, and can we implement DKG? I think it is distributed key generation in existing protocol.
So what you have to have a heartbeat to be able to contribute so there's many ways that you can contribute. You obviously have to have a certain, it depends. As I said, there are many things involved in blockchain. There's the business side of it. So people coming up with business cases, maybe working on, and then there's operations. How do you operate that kind of consortium? There's the legal side, and there's a technical side. So technical side, yeah, you have to have a certain amount of technical knowledge. I think a course like this will help you understand what that is. But I would say the one thing is that as we go with this technology, we have more and more abstraction at a higher level to be able to implement blockchain networks and a lot of the cloud providers to make it simpler and simpler and simpler. So you have to know less and less technology. Like everything in technology, I run my computer, I don't have to know about bits and bytes, I don't have to know about the CPU, I just run my computer, right? But slowly, the abstraction will happen, it gets easier and easier to use this technology. Does that answer the question? I didn't catch the second bit. Anina?
Yeah.
Sorry for the delay, Julian. Thank you so much for sparing your time to spend with us. Thank you for giving us all the support that we need to get going. And we look forward to contribute to Hyperledger more.
Yeah, and thank you. And really, everyone's involved. Everyone's welcome. And thank you so much for this opportunity. And take care and good luck with this course. I wish I was taking it.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. So an STTP of an international stature needs proper planning and execution. We have with us Dr. Jublan J. Totam, professor of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering and lead Saintgits blockchain, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Anina. Thank you, Julian. So, a wonderful, great contribution to the next level. And here is an occasion for sharing the gratitude. And here, first of all, I would like to thank. Hello. So I take this occasion to thank the president of the meeting, Mr. Punus George, the chairman of Saintgits Group of Institutions, who was here to from initial stage. And he is the person behind the motivation of the blockchain, as well as various other research teams like AI, cybersecurity, IoT, cloud, different wings that's happening in our department for the past couple of years. And that makes the Department of Computer Science really good and active in research. Thank you for the great visionary for providing such an occasion, and we are really proud to work under you, Mr. Punus George. Thank you. And again, here is one charismatic personality, Mr. Julian Gordon, who is from the starting initial stage of the blockchain team, supporting us in all aspects. All the activities related to blockchain from the blockchain club of Saintgits, blockchain team of Saintgits College of Engineering, is really getting immense support from the Hyperledger community. And it's really because of the initiative taken by Mr. Julian Gordon, Vice President, Asia Pacific, Hyperledger. Thank you for all the supports rendered, and thank you for your inspiring session, which gave various applications related that just kickstarting the program here with your wonderful session. Thank you, Julian, for sparing your valuable time with us. And again, I really take this occasion to thank Professor Rajendra B. Kakri, Advisor 1, Approval Bureau, AICTE, New Delhi. He is one of the person who is having very reputed post in ICTE, and he is presently motivating almost all the engineering colleges for various activities. With his presence and wonderful and motivating speech, he has inspired each of the participants who is here to go to more activities and go to check with more research. Thank you, Mr. Professor Rajendra B. Karkade, for your presence to be our guest of honor. And again, it's than our dearest principal, Dr. Joseph Kunyapol C., the principal of St. Kitts College of Engineering, who was behind us for the all motivating us and supporting us for all the activities, and especially this short-term training program on blockchain to happen. Each and every aspects of this program was actively discussed and commented and evaluated by our principal. And I thank this occasion to remember with gratitude his contribution to this program and contribution to the department. We have a wonderful leader in our department, none other than Dr. Anju Pradap, our head of the department. We are really proud to have such a wonderful lady to lead from the front and actively supporting with us for each aspects of our program. Thankfully, we remembering your support and cooperation to make this program a wonderful one. And again, I would surely thank all the faculty, especially the team of STTP, for actively working and making a wonderful one. We currently have 231 participants in this program, and we had 510 registrations. It's really the motivation from the team to make this such a wonderful one with such an active participation. I would directly go to the things that should be taken care during our program. First one is that our session will be having an average of 6 hours each day. Because of this reason, everybody has to be actively participating throughout we expect everyone to participate actively throughout the session, just because we will be having a shower of knowledge both from the industry as well as the academic community. I request all the participants to make yourself grab this opportunity to have a wonderful, wonderful 1 week of research and entertained research in blockchain. And also, we will be taking the feedback both from the Zoom as well as Google Forms after each session. And regarding the program schedule, normally all the programs starts at 9:30 to and ends by 4 p.m. And during this time, we will be having at least 3 sessions. And there will in some days we will be having more 4 sessions. I'll just brief out what are the sessions happening. And today, from 11:30 to 1:30 and 2 to 4, we will be having Dr. Modi Chirag Naveen Chandra, who is a faculty from IIT Goa, who is giving idea on introduction on blockchain as well as some applications regarding the cloud in blockchain. And tomorrow morning at 9:30, we will be having a session as well as a demo on blockchain in digital forensics, where Akib Hamid Lon, a senior research associate from NIT Srinagar, will be delivering the session. And decentralization identity as well as the application of artificial intelligence will be discussed by Dr. Mukesh Mohania, professor of IIIT Delhi, at 11:30 to 1:30. And game theory in Delphi will be explained by Harsh Rajat, who is the founder of EPNS by 2 to 4. You can also expect on October 7th, a wonderful session by Dr. Robert Laidlow, who is a founder and executive director of Secure Health Chain. He's a doctor by profession and technocrat by passion. You will be really identifying how health chain is happening and its applications directly from a medical doctor. And again, it will be 1 hour session, and from 10:30 to 1:30, you will be having a sawtooth demo. So it means Hyperledger sawtooth demo from Mr. Ahmad Kokad, who is a blockchain developer in Panasonic. This will be a 3-hour session, and make sure that you are not missing the session. And afternoon, we will be exploring to the very active people from industry. First one is happening on 2 p.m. That is discussing on application experience in philanthropy by Darshita Gillis, CEO Manj, and a blockchain stakeholder engagement by Kristin Pomelas by MD of Collations Consulting. And on 8th of October, you will be having a session by Mr. Thomas Cox, and he is from who is from governing officer in Strong Blocks, and taking the session on 4 forces in blockchain design. Basically, we expect a very wonderful session, which will be extending for 1 hour. And just after that, you will be having an experience sharing, that is live implementations in blockchain by one of the most experienced blockchain business person, who is Amy Rajput from India, who is a GM of blockchain business in Tech Mahindra. We are really proud to share his experience, and we surely expect that you will not be missing that session too. And next was direct applications of blockchain in business from 2 to 4, which will be taken by Srigan Govindilam, who is a business consultant in TCS. And he will be discussing on leveraging blockchain for supply chain efficiency. And on 10th of October, you will be discussing, or you will be identifying the blockchain standardizations by Mughal Garcia Mendes, CPO of Austria Blockchain Ecosystem. And at 11 o'clock, he will be taking 1 hour session. And 11 o'clock, you will be having a session from Mr. Stanley Johnson, blockchain engineer from Sovereign Wallet Network, who will be discussing about smartest of smart contracts. And again, we will be having, it will be ending by 1 o'clock. And you at sharp 1:30, you will be having a hands-on experience on Hyperledger Fabric and demonstration by Santosh K. Thomas, who is a project manager and blockchain architect in IBM. And last day session, October 10th, we will be having a demo walkthrough on Hyperledger Fabric by Pavan Adav, who is a senior blockchain developer from Infinite Chains. And we are trying to have a session on EOS on the final day also. Make sure that you will turn tuned with each of the programs, where we are actively trying to provide you with both a blend of applications as well as demonstrations on blockchain. So enjoy this program, and we will be surely coming back on 11:30. And thank you for all the participants who are here to be with us. Over to Anina. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have come to the end of the inaugural session. We look forward to your continued support and coordination for the smooth conduct of the STTP. Wishing you a happy learning. Now let's rise up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. We will be starting our first session by 11:30 a.m. by Dr. Modi Chirag Naveen Chandra, who is an assistant professor of Computer Science and Engineering Department at National Institute of Technology, Goa. He will be handling a session on introduction to blockchain application, and he will be providing a right mix of fundamentals, advanced topics, and technology behind this blockchain. So I request the participants to kindly join by 11:30 a.m. Thank you.